Saturday Celebrity Fan Fest 2019. Are you guys having a good time? Yes, well thank you for coming out. I don't know if there's any DC fans out there, but the next two guests to play two of the most iconic characters in the DC universe. Please welcome to the stage Helen Slater and Brandon Routh. Come on out. Come on out, guys. First of all, welcome to San Antonio.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's shockingly cold here, but it's kind of, you have your park on. I love it. Really, two of the most iconic characters. If we're going to go back to Superman and Supergirl, and I'm just wondering, for both of you, they were obviously very pivotal roles in your career. And what did you, Helen, let's just start with you. What did you know about the origin story of Supergirl before you went in and auditioned?
That's such an interesting question. I actually didn't know that much about her origin story, but yeah, it was kind of one of those moments. I graduated from Performing Arts High School, and just to be auditioning for something iconic like that was really spectacular. So yeah, I did not know too much, but then learned once I got
I mean, in a way, as an actor, that kind of must have been a little bit freeing for you to approach in a fearless sort of approach, because I read that you created your own superhero outfit for the audition.
Well, my mom sewed my cape and yeah, all that. Yeah.
And you wore it? I love that.
And I was the only one auditioning that had the cape and the skirt in New York. That was scary.
That, you know what, that's so committed though, and I love as a young artist just to be fearless and just leave it all out there. Yeah, that's amazing.
What did you wear for your audition?
Yeah, no pressure when you go in for Superman.
Well, maybe I would have done a similar thing, but it was a different situation. I had a meeting about Superman for the first time, which I had gotten because of an audition for a different show. And impressed a producer, I guess, enough who was friends, who was producing partners with the director at the time. Anyway, it's a convoluted story, but.
Well, I actually read.
But I did do push-ups outside. Parked my car, did push-ups before I went in.
Of course you did. You have to, right?
As possible.
I actually read that originally people had pointed out that you would be an appropriate fit for Superman early in your career, even before the project came along, and so that it was kind of like a natural fit. What would you say the pressure of taking on a role like that was like for a young actor like yourself?
Well, thankfully, I was quite naive at the time, and so I didn't know that there was pressure, but I didn't feel it the same way. I guess it could be incredibly daunting, but I think maybe because from the onset of moving out to Los Angeles, people had mentioned that I looked like Christopher Reeve. It was the first time I'd ever heard that, but that kind of set my brain on a path of, oh, well, maybe this is possible. Of course, why not? So when it started to happen, I was like, oh, this makes sense.
Right.
This is all kind of falling in line, and this would make sense, that this should happen, right? Or not. But, so there was that, but then I felt kind of that it was, that it fit, I guess, so that I was capable of doing it.
Yeah.
If I was this far, I was capable of doing it. So the fear kind of subsided until people started talking to me about the things. I was okay.
Right.
If somebody gave me something to worry about, I didn't worry about it.
Well, let's now cut to current time. Crisis on Infinite Earth. You just had, I know, so excited. The pictures that debuted of you in the suit again, amazing. What was it like after, 13 years to get back into the role? And what can you tell us about the project?
Well, I can't tell you too much, but it is definitely going to be epic. It's an incredible 5 hours of television event, and far surpass anything that's come before, and there have been great crossovers before. It was really amazing to be back in the suit, even though it's a different suit. The whole process leading up to it was great. The creative process, and then the fittings. I had to do several fittings before the suit was finalized, and doing a photo shoot, and then the release to the public. So that was all very it was almost the most important part of the journey for me, was the lead up to actually being on camera as him again. It was kind of a healing process for me, because after Superman Returns, as a naive young man, I thought I'd be doing more. So the whole process of being able to come back and do this was been incredibly healing. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and it was easier because I felt more like Superman. I think because I'm now 40, and I felt more mature, and like I owned him in a different way than I did. I was felt like I was playing at my idea of Superman a little bit more at 25 than I am now.
That's so interesting. Yeah, the depth that you bring to the character and sort of the responsibilities that both of Supergirl and Superman carry on their shoulders, the weight of the world, really. So, Helen, there's been a lot of talk of you joining Crisis. We don't know if you're going to or not, but the producers have actively said they were interested in having you come. And what's really interesting is they've interwoven so many different timelines and different DC genres. I guess you probably can't say anything, but we certainly hope to see you.
I haven't heard anything set. I'm going back up to Vancouver to shoot in a couple of weeks, but I haven't seen the script and I don't know anything. But it would be amazing, of course.
It would be so amazing.
The fans go so love that, right? When there's all that.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what I love about Smallville and Supergirl with you playing Melissa. The mother or the step adoptive. Is they do call back to, especially with Smallville, there were so many DC characters that were brought in, and so it's such a unique kind of situation. So I have my fingers crossed for you.
Yes, thank you. It would be amazing.
Yes.
I would love to have a superpower again.
I know. I would love to see you, and the suit would be modernized, and I think it would be wonderful. Brandon, so Legends of Tomorrow, it literally, I think you announced it was your last day filming yesterday. That's, first of all, many of us, we don't want to speculate, we don't know what's happening, but I hope certainly that there's the possibility open for return, because you're so amazing on the show, and I just want to know, what was it like to wrap up a character after, from Arrow to Legends, and just kind of leave it all there in that last tape?
Well, I think in the Arrowverse, and especially with Legends of Tomorrow, there's always opportunity for characters to come back. That's the nature of the show, I think, or the original conceit, although it doesn't happen as much because we become fond of the characters. So thankfully they haven't, it's been 5 years. We've definitely had some people come in and out of the show, but I've never been a part of any project for this long, or I played this character for 6 seasons of television, and I don't know how many episodes. So it's the character that I've also inhabited the most. He's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to miss Ray and the Atom. It's bittersweet. I'm happy to go back to Los Angeles and find a new project to dig into. But I didn't feel like I was done playing Ray yet, but I am. So
at least for the time being.
For the time being, and it's that last episode is incredibly. It's rough. It was hard to do. A lot of goodbyes, and I think it will make for a great episode of television, but also a very tearful one.
Yeah. Well done on the 6 years, and
Thank you.
I certainly hope that the door is left open. Let's just leave it at that. We're going to take questions from the audience. There's 2 mics in either of the aisles, so if you guys have a question, you can line up. And while people are getting themselves organized, Helen, I think it was in 2010 you wrote a comic edition of Supergirl.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how that came about and what sort of inspired you.
Oh my goodness. I have to just say, well, okay, so there was this wonderful person that was doing the interview, Jake, and I'm just blanking on his last name right now, I'm so sorry. And he had been doing a lot of writing for, just for things at the Comic-Cons, and had asked me if I would be interested in doing it, and I had done some of the other writing. It was a great experience. I actually really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, God, I'm so sorry I'm blanking on his last name, but yes, the two of us did it together. And
That's awesome. Was it
the most interesting story I could tell?
Well, I mean, I just think that it's really always fun when an actress who played a character gets to put that on paper and sort of bring the voice.
Actually, the interesting thing is I'm in grad school right now for mythological studies, and one of the interesting things about the superhero genre is that you can't. There's things in like religious, comparative religion, and other mythology you cannot apply to the superhero world, and that was really interesting to find out about that. And as I'm reading more in other mythologies, just about what the confines are when you're in a superhero universe, and there's certain things you can't really have come in. Like in the Greek world, you have gods and goddesses. You can't really have that in the superhero thing as much. So anyway, things like that are super interesting as I'm going along.
What do you think is the appeal, especially in modern day with so much, DC and Marvel? Is it the suspension of disbelief that people can sort of
I think
go
this is a
and
really
relate to?
interesting question about why is it so popular in 2019, why there's such an explosion. As an anthropologist, if we look back in a couple of hundred years from now, why in this period is it just such a tsunami of these kinds of stories? I don't know if you haven't thought about that.
Well, superheroes are archetypes they're taking off of gods and mythology, showing us the best and the worst of us on a large scale. For me, I guess I take that question from Superman's standpoint. For me, what Superman represents is and Supergirl, all the best of what we can be as human beings without superheroes, without superpowers. All of that Superman's way with people and taking care of the world and taking care of his neighbors, and everyone is equal and everyone is worthy of saving. Those are all aspirational things and are characteristics that I think we can all have and that we're all moving towards, whether we know it or not. We should be, in my mind. We don't need superpowers to get there. And so there's that part of it. And there's a distancing. I mean, we do need entertainment. It's highly entertaining. We need more things that are bigger and crazier to entertain us, because we've seen, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Spectacle, we expect so much. You need bigger and bigger spectacle. But I think you can tell fascinating stories through good and evil. I haven't seen Joker yet, but I know that it's a look into what can turn somebody, right? The events in your life as a child and growing up heavily influence who you will be as an adult. So early childhood trauma continues into adult trauma unless it's dealt with, and people are seeing therapists and trauma therapists and having therapy, and we're doing all these things that we tend to avoid. I'm rambling, but
you're not rambling at all. We love it. Let's start with our questions, because I want to make sure everyone has a chance to ask. Hi.
Hi there. I have a question about both your movies. I went to see Supergirl and I thought, wow, Helen's a great Supergirl. I went to see, of course, Superman Returns, and wow, Brandon is a great Superman. And then through the movies, I thought you were both upstaged by other minor characters that seemed to take up half the movie. While you were making the movie, did you ever raise your hand and say, hey, I'm the star, I should have more screen time?
So I guess in my case, you're talking about Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't. No, I didn't say that.
You were a young actor at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was happy to be there.
Yeah.
I appreciate your question. No, I think that was by design, having a veteran actor carry as much of the movie as Superman was important for them, as I was untested property, and so he could help balance and make the movie legit, And when you get in and you're doing it, no matter how, there's a certain point where you can't change things. So I think I would have seen a difference in that balance with the sequel. But I think they did the same thing in the marketing. They didn't tend to show my face a lot in the trailers and the marketing, because also coming from Christopher Reeve to me, they were worried that there might be a backlash because who's this new guy? So they're kind of making it mysterious a little bit. And to me, I think that was a mistake, because if you hired me, you just have me be the guy. But regardless, I think that was the decision that was made. And no, I didn't. I was happy to be there.
Thank you.
I was happy to be there too, for sure. It was so exciting to have Faye Dunaway, Peter O'Toole, all those giant, veteran people helping, to be honest, sort of modeling.
Yeah, you did have such like a British invasion amazing cast. Kind of like the early Harry Potter films.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting where they're bringing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my question is for Brandon. So another one of my favorite characters of yours is Todd, the third evil X from Stockholm vs. the World.
Great movie.
One of my favorites. So I'm wondering, do you think it's possible for Todd to redeem himself and regain his vegan powers, or are they gone for good?
Well, he'd need a restart or continue, since he turned into coins. But sure. I think it'd be a funny movie. I don't know what the story is, but I'm sure they can make it work. He can talk his way into it.
That movie looks like it was
the Vegan Academy or the Vegan Council.
Thank you. That movie looked like it was so much fun to make, was it?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's an amazing director, and it was kind of like being at summer camp and everybody just hanging out. We had like boot camp, working out and before shooting, and just a whole bunch of funny people. Very technical movie, but a lot of fun. And I got to be in a rock band and learn to play bass guitar and be on stage, and so that was.
It's one of those movies where you can check a few things off.
It wasn't on my bucket list, but now that I've done it, I'm excited and happy that I did.
Yeah. Hi. Over here. Hi.
Hi. This is actually for both of you. You guys have been part of the DC for a while. Martin Scorsese recently had comments regarding superhero movies as theme parks, and I was curious to get your take as far as comic book characters being kind of treated unfairly, because there's a lot of depth in them, and I think that Joker's probably a recent showing of that. How do you feel about the unfair criticism regarding superheroes and their depth?
The criticism that they lack depth?
Yeah, as far as being superhero movies are theme parks.
I see.
They're not really movies.
I disagree. This refers back to the question we were discussing earlier about why there's this influx of superhero movies. You can tell these outstanding stories of people being different. Take the X-Men, being mutants, being different, and how can they have a place where they can be accepted? The school, special school just for them, where they can be accepted and they're not weird. These are incredible stories that young people and old people alike, I think, are really helping and healing and saying you're not alone. Just for that example, I think movies help us feel. They make us laugh. They make us afraid or scared or love or cry. And there's so much crap in the world right now, and negativity, and so many, unfortunately, bad things are happening all around the world. And we've become a little bit numb to it. And also, I don't think we have in this country a history of allowing our emotions to be part of us. I think that's an endemic problem in society with parenting is allowing love to exist and hard times to exist and not brushing by the bad times, but letting your children experience. I'm going to go deep here. Let your children experience pain and hard times and not brush it off and say, listen, I know you're having a hard time, I'm sorry. Sometimes things just suck. I'll sit here, I'll be with you. I'll let you have this moment of pain rather than trying to fix it right away. Because that doesn't help. And I think movies help us get to that space, right? Because you don't know it, but they're reaching you. And they're allowing you to feel through them what you feel you're not allowed to feel in your normal life. So they become a conduit and say, why am I crying? Why am I crying in this movie? It's because there's something in their experience that you've experienced and you're having that emotional connection, that cathartic moment. And sometimes it takes spectacle in the world, universe being destroyed, and a huge battle in order to feel that thing that we should be able to feel in normal life, but sometimes you only get through entertainment. And I think this is all happening behind the scenes. I don't think this is these are conscious things that are happening necessarily with the creation of these films and these characters, but I think that's one thing that's happening, and it's helpful whether we see it or not.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you, great question. Thank you so much. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. He took part of my question, but I wanted to say to Brandon that if acting doesn't work out, professor of psychology down in LA, I mean, this is amazing answers, but I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying a little bit. This was part of my first question, is that the characters that Marvel and DC, Warner Brothers puts up on the screen are iconic characters that are woven into Americana, and I don't think that they get enough due as far as being true characters. I mean, you think of characters like Mark Twain, Huck Finn, and of the great American novels. These characters are just as important to us as Americans as they are. And for you guys to bring to the screen and all the movies that are coming out now, that's important to us to see that and to see them personalized, and you guys do an amazing job. And I want to say thank you for that. And the rest of my question was going to be about Martin Stark and Stacey, but I just want to say thanks for that. All right.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
I agree, they're important. There's no doubt how culturally important they are, and Superman has been, and these characters are to people. We meet people all the time who have been touched through whether it's a day or something important happened in their life that they trace back to Superman or Supergirls. No. Even if it's not recorded in the histories, we all know how important they are. So.
And in response to Scorsese's comments, there's,
I don't even know what those comments were.
I think he just said
that. Is he the one that said that they're a theme park?
Yeah, it was just marginalizing. But it's like, of course, everybody loves, Gangs of New York and Scorsese films, but those are a certain taste too, and there's room for everything, That's what entertainment is. It's not just one specific type of telling the dark side, which I feel like...
I don't like horror movies. I still have a trouble figuring out if that's really good for society. But there's something cathartic happening there too.
Absolutely, I love horror movies.
So I do my best not to. I don't judge people. Anybody who for me, it's not. I don't want to be. I don't really get scared. So I guess that's part of it. But some of the. Well, I didn't go into it anyway. I don't understand that, but I understand the whole space for the reason. There's a reason, and it's helpful for people.
No, Professor Routh, please continue. We would love to hear more. Hi.
Hi, this is for Brandon. By the way, Alan Brandon, I grew up with you guys as Clark and as Kara, so thank you for that. But Brandon, what did it feel like after a decade to come back to play Clark Kent again?
To play Clark, well, as much as I was looking forward to playing Superman and getting back in the suit, I was excited to be Clark. And there's not a lot of Clark in the Crisis, but we do have a glimpse of Clark. And it was actually we did that before I shot the Superman stuff, and so I was actually very nervous because I was like, oh man, how do I do this guy? But I really have to fit back into him, and I only have a limited exposure on screen, so I got to make it count. So I was more nervous about Clark than Superman, which is usually opposite for me. I usually feel more comfortable as Clark. But it was awesome. And I think the moments that are in there with him in the event are pretty great. I'm excited to see those. It's very satisfying. It's also just very grateful for the opportunity.
Well, I know we're all excited to see you return for Crisis on Infinite.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Okay. So I'm a film major, and one of the things I'm striving to do is one day make like deeper DC movies, like the superheroes that aren't as popular. And I was wondering, for either of you, is there any sort of role or character in the DC universe you'd be willing to test out?
Yes. Let's even go into Marvel. Why not? Right?
Yeah, sure.
So let's jump over.
Since I can't work for Marvel. So.
Is there a character that you guys are aware of that you would like to tackle, I guess?
I don't know if this fits in, but I've been working on a idea for an aging superhero that comes back, that has to go back to work after empty nest and her husband loses his job, kind of thing. And there is this obscure, it's probably not obscure to you guys, I hadn't heard of it, superhero, and I think it's DC, it's not Marvel. Is that okay, or am I going to
No, you're good. You're good.
And I think it's called Hawk and Dove. This rings a bell?
Yes.
And I thought, well, that might be like a perfect way to have, a woman and a man, aging superhero, come back into the world. And I certainly would love to do that because it seems great fun. Like a new revised, and those are a little more obscure than the mainstream, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Unless I'm just completely.
No, it's like the superhero version of The Wrestler, but let's not make it as
There we go.
depressing. Okay. Brendan, did you have any, characters out there?
I don't specifically. I think it'd be interesting, I guess, to play a villain in the DC world.
I can do that.
I do like a villain every once in a while, just not for a long period of time.
Thank you so
Then I get
much.
sad.
And good luck to you. Hi. You look great.
Oh, thank you. First of all, it is an honor to meet y'all this weekend. My question as a retired teacher, I'm always curious to know if there was anybody in your, like a teacher or a mentor or family member that really encouraged you to be who you are today.
Early
Thank you for your
influencer.
service.
Yes, thanks for being a teacher.
I feel like it's service.
It is. My mom is a retired teacher, so I know what it takes. My parents have been were absolutely influential. I wouldn't be here without them and their belief in me and emotional support and financial support, which they didn't really have, but they did it somehow. So I'm very grateful for them. And there were some teachers who stand out for me along the way. Were very important to just encouraging my creativity. And I think my oddity. I think I was a more odd kid than I realized, and so I think what made them stand was probably that they accepted it, didn't try to stop me from or put me in a box. And I know having a child of my own, how important that is. No matter how he speaks his own mind and all these other things that he wants to speak out. I do my best not to stunt his creativity and his expression of himself. Still give him structure without stepping that down. So I think that's what the good role models in my life have been able to do. I have to accept me for who I am.
I would say for me, when I went to Performing Arts High School in Manhattan, and there was a bunch of us oddballs that were there, it was just this extraordinary experience. Not only the teachers, but I was originally a composer, and I wrote these original bus and truck musicals that toured the city with I never would have had it not been for that particular container of teachers and basically flying your flag, whatever it is. And we were we really did do these incredible creative acts that have influenced me forever. Including, I just finished a 6th album based on the myth of the Selkie and the Fisherman, and that feels like a pinnacle creative project, and there's no chance that would have ever happened if the foundation from writing when I was in my high school years, these little bus and truck musicals that came right out of those teachers that were there. So thanks for that question. It's a great question.
Yes, thank
What
you.
are you calling them? The musicals?
Bus and truck musicals.
Bus and truck?
So what that means is literally we would take a myth, or a fairy tale. We did The Emperor's Nightingale, Hans Christian Andersen, improvised it. It was sort of this marvelous gospel rock 45-minute show. And you have 3 black boxes and a trunk of hats and capes sometimes, and you're taking it to schools in Harlem and Brooklyn and Queens. And bus and truck means you get on a bus.
Yeah. Traveling circus.
That's amazing. I love that. Hi.
Hi. I love you guys. I just want to say, Brandon, what was it like working with your wife on Pieces Legends Tomorrow and this budding romance with this woman that you already love, and it's like you're falling in love all over again with different characters?
Yeah, thanks, Courtney Ford, my wife, who plays Nora Dark, is incredibly talented, and it has been was a lot of fun working with her on this show. We worked together before, but never before had we played characters who didn't know each other. So we got to have the kind of meet cute moments and develop a relationship on screen, which was very fun, and 2 very opposite characters. So it was a great amount of fun, and she was really pivotal in creating a lot of those moments, because oftentimes she doesn't think she's as funny as she is, but she's incredibly funny, and she found great physical comedy between the 2 of us. That a lot of that is because of her. It made it a great experience.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Thank you. Hi.
My question is for Brandon. How do you feel about not being able to participate in the Elseworld crossover versus how Adam got to participate in the crossover?
Sorry, what was the first part?
How do you feel about not participating in the Elseworld crossover?
Oh, last year. I always enjoy being a part of the crossovers. It's a big fun event. It's a lot of work and crazy, but so I was a little bummed last year, but happened to be a part of it this year in a major way and playing 2 superheroes. And, it's been very cool.
Yeah, the crossover shows seem like they're a lot of fun because it's just the gang's all here.
It's fun to have everybody together. They make for long days. There's a lot of people to get on camera and get their faces on camera. But they have done a great job. The whole team involved in making it has done a great job making it somewhat livable for us and the crew.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you. And you look great too. Hi.
Brandon, how does it feel to record your last episode of DC Legend of Tomorrow?
What does it feel like to do an episode?
Yes, the last episode.
Oh, the last episode. It was very emotional. I cried a lot, both as part of the scenes and just by myself in the corner. It was a long process because we filmed our episode. Our season is different because we're coming on mid-season. We don't start airing until January, so we were filming. Actually, that doesn't matter. But we were filming 2 episodes at once. So I was filming the crossover episode, which actually happens before the season of Legends starts. Our first episode is the crossover, and then after that, we started into our season. So it was kind of jumping back and forth how we were shooting it. But it was challenging because I love my family, the crew, and the cast of my family, and being on the Wave Rider for the last time was tough. But I'll go back and visit them. So there's always that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great question. Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Helen, Brandon, my question is for both of you. How are you guys do when it comes to keeping spoilers under wraps, especially when friends and family keep asking?
Yes, I imagine the secrecy surrounding the scripts on various projects is pretty intense.
I'm kind of used to it now that you just know. I think this started on small filming. I don't know. It's like a while ago where you're just, even in the contract or they talk to you, you just do not speak.
It's gotten easier over the years. Yeah, you understand how it is to talk about what you can talk about and what you can't. And you get very political in your answers because not only friends and family asking, but everyone else asking too. So you have a lot of practice.
I was in this. This is a little bit of a left turn, but I was in the season finale of Mad Men, and that was like so secretive that we shot the whole ending, and then Matthew Weiner had a whole other ending where, Don Hamm with the Coca-Cola commercial. That wasn't even in the script, so we didn't even know it. It was so secret, deep nine, whatever that expression is. Yeah. So I think people were used.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
Hi guys. This is my first time, so this is exciting. Thank you for coming to San Antonio.
Right.
Welcome.
Hello. Silly question. Are you hanging out with Zachary Levi, Chuck, later on, and where?
We haven't made any plans yet, but I have said hello. He's a lovely man.
But you know what? First of all, I hope you have a great experience at your first event. And second of all, as an actor, it's fun, I feel, for just as much from this perspective to come and to hang out with friends, because often in Los Angeles or Vancouver or Atlanta, there's no time to hang out when you're filming. So it's kind of just as much fun for us in a way, right? Yeah, thank you for that. Hi.
Hello. Brandon, what of the 3 superhero costumes you have got to wear, which one is your favorite and most comfortable? And Helen, if you get to don the Supergirl costume again, would you like the skirt or would you like pants like Melissa?
I think it's a tough question, but the most recent Superman suit is definitely the most comfortable, and I think it looks pretty amazing. I'm very, very, very pleased with the design. Did an amazing amount of work. Many different teams kind of coming together to make it look epic and feel great. So I'm really, really happy about it.
Yeah, the pictures were amazing.
It looks great. Looks great on screen and in
Yeah.
person. So
Exciting.
much more comfortable than my previous Superman suit.
I certainly love the pants idea, just symbolically of what that's representing, but I can't really say. My honest answer is I don't know. Both, I guess, is my answer.
In the summer, the skirt is good. In the winter, the pants are
That's
good.
true.
Thank you. Hi.
I wanted to give a shout out to the sign language translator team. Those guys killing up there, following the responses. But another question for you, non-superhero. How much fun was it working alongside Justin Long in another movie called Zack and Mary?
Yeah, Justin's awesome. I can't wait to work with him again on something. He's an incredibly funny guy and very nice as well. And I just ripped off of him. I mean, he leads most of that scene. It's just him, kind of me trying to react and not crack up at what he's doing, and what he and Seth are doing in the scene, and Elizabeth as well for that part, for the front half of the scene. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello. Yeah, thank you guys for coming to San Antonio because y'all are awesome. I had a question.
Just take a deep breath. You're good. There you go.
I can be up here talking to you guys. Y'all are awesome. But okay, here it is. First, thank you, Ms. Slater, for signing my dad's painting back there for the Village Union. It awesome. He loves it. But also, for the both of you, what was both, because y'all have a lot of amazing work everywhere, you know, all over the place. What were y'all's like inspirations to start doing everything you're doing now?
Acting, you mean, as an actor?
Yes, as an actor.
I mean, the first time I ever was on stage, I was 8 years old as the Blue Fairy in Pinocchio and had to sing When You Wish Upon a Star. And I was 8 and my knees were shaking so violently. The fact that I ever went back on stage and continued to do that is sort of a miracle, but there is something about going to that edge where you feel scared or in the unknown, that acting and certainly composing music, there's that sort of being devoted to that process, that things may not be as fixed or as predictable. And when you live a life as in this world of acting or art, you're kind of against all odds, shaking in your boots, saying, I'm interested in this, and what's that like? And so I guess probably that was the first time I had that experience. Yeah.
I'm not sure, because I always was performing. My parents are both musicians, so always doing a lot of performing in church at the time and school. But I think the moment that I was like, that I really kind of loved the idea of performing was my first high school musical. Sorry, it wasn't a musical. First high school play, and I was playing kind of a goofy redneck character, and the laughter from the audience. I don't think I fully recognized it until later, but then looking back, I just loved it. It was so much fun, and I was worried about losing my lines, but it was so much fun, like the gamble and the excitement of it, and the audience's response right away was addictive, I guess. I didn't think at that point I was going to go off to Hollywood and become an actor, but that was the first major building block, I think.
Thank you for that. And guys, I'm so sorry, but we're out of time. This has been an amazing 45 minutes. Thank you both so much. And you guys are going to have another panel tomorrow. So if we didn't get to your question today, we will tomorrow for sure. And thank you both so much, Helen and Brendan.
Thanks, everyone.